Good evening, everyone. I am earlier than normal tonight because I am, awfully exhausted, and so I am going to be working on my healthy habit of sleep tonight. So I am wrapping up down here early. It was my goal for myself when I got up today because I had to be up early for my morning networking group that I go to every Thursday morning that I absolutely love. But it means coming in already tired means that I'm ready for bed a lot earlier. So I figured I'd come live a little bit earlier so I can get my whole nighttime routine done and, be able to get some healthy sleep tonight because that is so important. And it's actually interesting because several of my clients today that I talk to are all focusing on healthy sleep right now. So it's sort of cool that, we're all in the same boat and all focusing on the same things. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about healthy habits, right? A lot of what we talk about, I think people, when they hear me say healthy habits, they think about healthy habits of food, right? And that is one place. That's a super important place, eating 6 small meals a day, making good choices for food, drinking plenty of water, right? My water, I always have my water by me, right? Those are all super, super important healthy habits. Healthy motion, healthy sleep, they all tie into getting healthy. It's all one and the same, right? And they all work together. And if you are missing one of those pieces, overall, it's going to be much harder to get healthy overall. But the number one piece, the key piece, the first place that we have to start on healthy habits is our mindset. And the words that we choose to say to ourselves, right? It was really interesting. I was having a conversation this morning with somebody, and we were talking about this, and actually he was discussing this about his daughter, and it was really kind of cool because it's the same kinds of things that I say to my kids, and I was like, this is what I'm going live about tonight. He had been having a conversation with his daughter right before I saw him, and his daughter said something, she was attempting something, and she said, I can't. And he looked at her and he said, I don't ever want to hear you say I can't. He said, because you can, right? He said, you may be choosing not to, right? But you can. There are very few things in our lives that we can't do, right? There are certain things, right, that are just physically impossible, right? We can't grow wings and fly, right? That's not physically possible. But there are so many things in our lives that I can't doesn't fit through that. And when I talk to a new client or a potential new client and somebody says, I could never do your program. Yes, actually, you could do my program. And the truth is, when I first started, before I started, and I got on my health assessment with my coach beforehand, and we went through everything, and she told me all about the program, and I said, sounds great, but I don't think it's going to work for me. My body is broken. That was all part of my story. And she laughed at me, and she said, Lesley, she said, I promise you your body's not broken, and I promise you the program's going to work because it's based in science. It works for everybody if you stick to the program. But what I was saying when I said it's not going to work for me was, in my head, it was I can't. Right? It wasn't that the program wasn't going to work. It was that I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to work the program. Right? And what she was saying to me without saying those words was, of course you can. Of course you can do this if you choose to. Right? If you choose to. And that is so key in everything that we're doing in our lives. Right? If we choose to do it, we can do it. Otherwise, it's an excuse. Everything is it's an excuse. When I'm working with a client who is struggling, right? If they're not doing well on program, sometimes we have to tweak their plan. That is a scientific thing. We have to tweak their plan, and that's awesome, and that's cool, and we can do that, right? But somebody who is using this, I can't, is saying, right, I'm choosing not to. And it was really interesting because I had a conversation with a client tonight who's really struggling. She's going through a really hard time. And we were talking, and I was coaching her through some of this. And one of the things she said to me, she said, you know what? I just feel like I should just give up and go back to my old ways. And I said, really? I said, why? And she said, I don't know. She said, I just think it would be easier. And I said, really? I said, let's think back. Let's rewind back a year when you were almost 100 pounds heavier than you are right now. Was life really easier? And she said, she sort of hemmed and hawed. And I said, look, everything in life is hard. Everything. Life is hard. That's life, right? The definition of life is that it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. I said, but we have to choose our hard, right? And that's key. That's key in removing the words I can't from my life, right? We have to choose our hard. I said, so you have 2 choices right here. I said, you can choose the hard of doing what it takes to be healthy, or you can choose the hard of your life when you're unhealthy. I said, which hard do you want? And she paused and she said, I never thought of it that way. And I said, exactly. I said, that is the thought process that literally goes through my head all day long. I will tell you, there is, Rosanna, exactly right. I can't often means I won't. Exactly. I can't means I'm choosing not to, or I'm deciding not to, right? There is a left upstairs in my house. Most of the junk has been put away in my house, right, from this past weekend. The food junk. There's still a lot of other stuff that's not food that needs to be put away and returned and whatever else. And there was a box of, we had put together hospitality bags for all of our out-of-town guests, right? Little bags of snacks and whatever, and some fun stuff for them. And there was a box that still had the Famous Amos cookies packages that we put in there. And yes, I did give my guests sweets. Right, and I had actually asked my husband last week to please take those downstairs and hide them, because those things will call my name. They will call my name. And I actually didn't realize that they had gone downstairs, and I didn't realize that they had come back upstairs, because right before the weekend started, we were short a couple of hospitality bags, so we were putting some others together. And I didn't realize that when they came back up that they didn't go back downstairs. And I happened to be doing some other things, and I saw they had been sort of stashed in a corner, and I saw them sitting there today, and I went, and of course, the chatter in my brain starts going, cookies, right? Like that's going on in my head, right? And I was taking my kids someplace, and I left the house. I did not touch those cookies. I left the house, and I took my kids, and I dropped them off. Actually, they were going to volunteer at the pet store, which I posted a picture about that earlier, which is super awesome at this pet store. They get to volunteer once a week for the month of September, every Thursday. So cool, so fun. But I digress, right? And literally on my drive home, the whole drive home, what was going through my head is cookies, right? I'm exhausted still. My body has not caught up. When I'm tired, I crave those kinds of sweets. It's just where I go. And I knew that they were there, right? And I kept saying in my head, cookies. But I literally, when I got home, I walked over to that box of cookies and I stared at it because, okay, so I have some cookies, right? But I stopped and said to myself, I can choose my hard. I can choose to have these cookies, right? And then have the hard of when I get on the scale tomorrow and I'm not so happy, or when my blood sugars go wacky and I'm not so happy, and that hard. Or I can choose the hard of walking away from these right now and saying no, which was really hard when, I don't know about you, but when there's, like I could hear the cookies screaming to me, cookies, but I chose that hard, right? And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I lose. Sometimes that hard, the cookies win. But I literally stopped and said to myself out loud, which hard are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the hard of walking away and telling the box of cookies to shut up, right? Or are you going to choose the hard of not feeling well tomorrow and feeling icky that you do whenever you have things like that you shouldn't have, right? And I walked away. I chose that hard. And then, as soon as my husband came home tonight, right, I actually said to him, please get those out of my dining room, right, out of the living room where they are. I said, please put that stuff away, because I won that battle this time, right? I won that battle. I made the right choice of that hard. But I don't know that tomorrow I would if they're still sitting out, right? So, because it's hard. It is really hard. But with every single time, it's our mindset. It's our focus. It's the words that we choose to say to ourselves, right? Exactly what Rosanna said. When you say, I can't, it's not saying you can't, right? I can physically walk away from those cookies. I can physically do most things, right? I can physically stick to my program. I know that I need to let myself get back into fat burn and feel good, and that's going to help me recover from this past weekend, right? I know that that's what I need. I know that that's what my body needs and how I thrive from that, right? And it's been really hard because I was so far out of it and I'm so tired, but I can do it. If I were to say I can't do it, that's me saying I'm not ready to put forth the effort to do it. So the next time you hear yourself saying I can't, right? Stop and ask yourself, wait, what am I talking about? What am I saying? Can I not do it? Right? Can I not do it? Can I physically not do it? Is it not possible? Is it like I can't grow wings and fly, right? Can't do that. My kids oftentimes say to me, I wish I could just fly. And because, we walk a lot of places. I wish we could just fly. That is one that you can't do. But most things in our lives you can do. Rosanna said, my stress tonight has the kitchen calling peanut butter. I'm in my bedroom, but it's hard. It's really hard, Rosanna. I get that. Peanut butter calls my name frequently too. Peanut butter also often ends up as one that gets hidden in my house because I'll just say, okay, I'm just going to take a little spoonful, a little taste, and a little taste would be okay. But the next thing that happens, the next thing I know, half the jar is gone, and then it's really bad. So I get that with the peanut butter. I totally get that with the peanut butter. But it's literally taking it one step at a time. Can't has got to be removed, for me, from my vocabulary, right? And it's something that I teach my kids. Just like my friend was having this conversation with his daughter, I say that to my kids all the time, right? It's all about the words that we choose to use, the verbiage that we choose to use, right? What are we telling ourselves? Where is our mindset, right? Another big thing with mindset is the way somebody acts, right? What we choose to do, that's on us, right? That's another biggie that I talk to my kids a lot about, right? When somebody responds one way, how we choose to respond to that, that's on us. And it comes back to the healthy habits for me for eating, right? Right? If somebody frustrates me, if my kids frustrate me, and yes, they frustrate me very much at times, right? I have a choice. Am I going to sabotage what I want? Am I going to sabotage my goals because somebody else is doing something that I don't like, right? They upset me. I go to the cookies, right? Is that going to solve my problem? No. Does that affect them? No, except for the fact that they won't get cookies later, but they're not going to get them probably anyway. My guess is these cookies are going to sit in our basement until we give them away someplace. But it's all about that mindset. It's making a mindset shift, right? So many of us are emotional eaters, right? And emotional eating isn't just a negative emotion. Emotional eating is stress eating. It is boredom eating. It is exhaustion eating. It's celebratory eating, right? I mean, this weekend I had last weekend, right? We had all this stuff in the house and it was, I'll have a cookie to celebrate, right? It can be good things too. If you eat when you're happy, you eat when you're sad, you eat when you're anxious, you eat when you're whatever, right? Whatever it is, that's all emotional eating. Emotional eating is when you're eating for any other reason besides fueling your body. And that's a really, really powerful thought to think about. When I do a health assessment with somebody who's interested in becoming a client, right? I always do free health assessments. So if you're ever interested in learning a little bit more about your own habits and recognizing your habits, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to do a free health assessment with you. No commitments, no pressure, no nothing. It's a good information baseline for people, right? But when I do a health assessment and I ask somebody, are you an emotional eater, right? Some people straight off the bat say, yes, I'm an emotional eater, and they get it, right? They're a stress eater, they're whatever. But there are people that say no, right? But as I dig a little bit deeper, they're not just eating to fuel their bodies. And in my mind, if you're eating for any other reason but to fuel your body, then you're an emotional eater on some level, right? And it may not be what drives you to. And then you have some people who emotionally don't eat, right? When they're stressed, when they're tired, when they're anxious, when they're sad, when they're mad, whatever, they stop eating, right? Which is also just as unhealthy of a habit that, we have to work on that mindset piece because we need to be eating at the right times to fuel our bodies, right? And when we make that shift, that's how we can make our shift in all of our healthy habits, right? Because they all tie together. Mindset ties into eating healthy, ties into drinking plenty of water, right? Ties into getting healthy sleep. All of that ties together. And the truth of the matter is, I'm a stress water drinker. I'm going to admit that right here. I drink plenty of water. I drink a lot of water. My water bottle sits next to me all day long. And I find myself, when I'm stressful, chugging my water. Now, I track how much water I have in a day, so I cut myself off when I've had enough. But I have found myself that instead of running to the kitchen necessarily for stress eating, I find myself chugging my water, right? I see when I'm in a meeting and and I've been on and talking and really the pressure's been on, and as soon as I'm able to, stop and let somebody else talk, right? If I'm running the meeting, I find myself chugging water. It's a stress response. And it's really interesting that I've noticed that, right? That I've picked up on that. and it's how I decompress. And now drinking my water is a healthy habit, and like I said, I track my water, but I've caught myself where I'm like, okay, I'm at my limit for my water for the day. I've hit my limit. So I will remove my water bottle from sitting next to me, so I don't have that when they're stressed. And then I start twirling a pen, or I do some other things, right? We all have those things. So the key is, when you find what you do when you are stressed, or when you are feeling an emotion of any kind, recognize what it is. Is it something healthy to be doing, or is it something not healthy to be doing, right? And then you can shift that. There's nothing wrong with doing something to decompress. You have to do something to decompress, right? And my drinking my water is much better than me walking into the kitchen and having my cookies. My drinking my water is actually a healthy habit, as long as I stop when I've had enough for the day. So I hope that I sort of tied this all together. I'm really tired, so I hope that this made sense for you guys. But give me a hashtag live if you were on here live, or if you picked this up in the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And if you know someone who struggles with emotional eating, who struggles with the mindset, please share this. Have them connect to me. I'm actually going to be doing something special starting not next week, but the following week, focusing specifically on emotional eating and mindset, and helping people get some new healthy habits and making some shifts to that. So I would love to connect with anybody who might be interested in learning more about that, and learning about, totally free, there will be anybody who can connect with that and who struggles with it, because so many of us struggle with the emotional eating, the emotional, all those pieces. So I definitely want to be able to help you with that, because I've done it, right? I am doing it. I'm living it, right? I'm not perfect at it, as I told you with my cookies, but I'm living it, and working on it together. We can all work together to better improve ourselves and make it through that. So I hope you have a great night. I am wrapping up here and actually making it to bed on time tonight. I did post a yummy recipe earlier this evening, so if you want to, go check it out. It's actually a single serve recipe, which is kind of cool. I like the single serve ones, because sometimes we're not cooking for a whole family and we're looking for something quick and easy and healthy. So go check it out. Go request the recipe if you'd like it. And have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.